Apple, in my opinion, is doing something really wrong. So anyway, so I did this issue of the newsletter. It brought me 4 opportunities that if I choose to pursue all of them will make me, a strong 5 figures. But I also had 2 people reach out from Apple. One of them has been there for a long time, has a director role. I don't want to use his or her name or department, but they reached out to say, "Hey, Corey, just so that we know, right? We respect where you're coming from, everything you did. You're well within your parameters. What would you charge us?"
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I'm your host, Vin, and
I'm Shane.
And today we're joined by our fantastic friend, Mr. Corey Warfield. What an awesome freaking last name. It's not on the thing if you guys are watching this as a video, but you gotta appreciate how unique and how cool of a last name that is. It kind of makes me jealous, but anyway, we're gonna deviate. Corey is a master of his craft. Corey is a friend, a coach, and a mentor to some degree to both Shane and I. And he's taught us a lot. And we think that there's probably nobody better than him in what he does. Corey, I'm going to keep emphasizing your name because people need to remember it forever. But Corey is one of the coaches that I actually approve of. And for all of you listeners, that doesn't really mean shit unless you are a fan of me, in which I hate 99% of coaches out there because they are full of shit. And nobody's ever proven to me otherwise, except for Corey Warfield. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. Corey Warfield, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, first of all. And I stand by my coaching 100%, but aside from that, I hope to live up to that amazing intro. Let's get into it.
We are excited to have you here, my man. Can you please tell the listeners what it is that you do exactly? Why are you a coach that I love? Can you please explain it?
I think what I do is I go beyond vanity metrics, and I've used my coaching to grow accounts on LinkedIn from, a couple hundred followers to my biggest account as an individual has 800,000 followers and has brought over $1 billion of inbound revenue in. So, right, I'm a founder first and foremostly. So I'm revenue generated. That's what I use social media for. I read a book by Gabriel Weinberg called Traction that really had me kind of hone in on social media being my traction and then LinkedIn being my channel. So, at this point I've got, friends in the C-suite, friends that co-founded the platform that I've had on my podcast. It's opened up doors for me that's taken me around the globe. So, it's one of those things where even though I still start companies, I still invest, I still raise money, I still travel. I keep doing the coaching because it literally gets me up. Usually literally, because I work with people around the world. It's like my last client last night was at 11 p.m. My first client today was 8 a.m., right? But it literally and figuratively gets me out of bed every day. It's brought in substantial revenues, helped companies, hit massive metrics, whether it's fundraising or growth goals or, we use it for PR and all kinds of stuff. And I've used it for every company that I've started in the last 10 years. So, it's the proverbial, I eat my own dog food.
I love it. And
go ahead.
Damn right. And what exactly is that? How do you do it? Can you give people a little bit of the sauce behind the method?
Yeah, I can give all the sauce, and I hope that it's actionable for people that are watching this. But I find virtually everyone uses LinkedIn in the same way as each other and then complains that LinkedIn doesn't work. And so I go to their profiles, and typically it reads like a CV, and it positions them as one of a million people that do whatever it is that they do. So they've immediately made a bad first impression on the 1.1 billion potential, leads, customers, partners, friends that are on this networking site. And so the first thing to do on LinkedIn to use it kind of as a traction channel is to optimize your profile so that it positions you as a one of one, and so that it gives people everything that they need to know. And the most prime piece of real estate on the profile is the headline. So at one point I wrote my headline to simply say, I create LinkedIn influencers. Very simple. It's about what I do. At the time, it was very unique. People read that and they'd see that every time I posted. And so the second thing that I do after optimizing a profile is optimize content. So for me, an average post of mine will get 500,000 views, right? With a lot of deviance, but so that's a 500,000 people that see that headline any day that I post. I create LinkedIn influencers. And that headline brought me in many dozens of clients, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I finally stopped using it because one of my clients reached out to me with a screenshot. They said, Corey, this other person that does kind of what you do, their headline says, I create LinkedIn influencers. Right. And for half a second, I'm like, do I reach out to this person? I'm like, no. Right. I don't have any pride in authorship. If someone's using it, others are going to use it. And that turned out to be the case. But so rather than try to explain to people, oh no, I came up with this headline, right? I just kept it moving and kept it moving. I always try to be, a couple steps ahead of anyone else that likes to, claim to do similar things to what I do. So right now, my headline, and it's very psychological, it says, how do I have over 500,000 followers on LinkedIn, right? If that question is intriguing to someone, then they can come into my profile. The first thing that they're going to see is that I don't have just over 500,000. I'm pushing 560,000 today. So there's a humility factor, right? So many people it's like McDonald's with burgers sold. Every day they update their profiles. I have 34,052 followers. It's like nobody really cares about that. Use round numbers, use psychology, right? So then you optimize the full profile. I'll give you a couple little tips. A lot of people don't have all the sections there. If you volunteer, if you have certifications, if you speak multiple languages, put that on there. It becomes a speaking point, but also it gives the algorithm more things to grab onto. The algorithm now allows for 100 skills to be listed on your profile. So if you don't have 100 skills listed, it quite literally stack ranks you as being incompetent, right? Most people have something like 30 to 50 skills listed. Algorithmically, that's a 30 to 50% grade on how many skills you have as a professional. And I now have it on authority that they're building not only an AI system, but AI avatars of their users. So you need to think of it as a data machine, and you need to feed it the right data, non-corrupt data, non-ambiguous data, right? So if you have this headline that jumps off the page, gets people to your profile, right? Then they see your banner, which is your billboard. If that intrigues them, they go down to your about section, which should read in the first person like a story that you're telling an individual at a networking event. Because LinkedIn is a 365, 24/7 free networking event, and your profile can actually get you leads, close you deals, get you inbound, even while you're sleeping, even while you're skiing, even while you're watching a movie with your loved one, right? So that's kind of the strategy, is how do we get this thing working for you? Not how do we spend 10 hours a day on the platform, right? But how do we quite literally have this represent me so that I don't need to do much more work? And I'll give you one of the other, I'll give you two other little tips that I teach. The first that I see everyone do wrong is they speak at their audience, big mistake. And worse than that, their posts follow this formula. Let me teach you something so I can sell you something. Well, no one goes to LinkedIn to buy anything specific unless it might be an employee, in which case you're probably going to Glassdoor or Indeed or something like that anyway. And no one goes to LinkedIn to learn anything specific. You go to YouTube, you go to Perplexity, you go to ChatGPT, you go to Wikipedia. So through that lens, now that's not to say people on LinkedIn don't want to learn stuff and buy stuff, right? Hopefully you're making enough money or you buy whatever you want. I've got my favorite whiskey and tequila right here. It's like I didn't go to LinkedIn to buy those though, right? Now, with that said, you look at this content saying, "Let me teach you something," which is inherently condescending. It's supposing that people don't know something you know and want to, but so let me teach you something so I can sell you something never works. So you just switch it up a little bit. And you speak with your audience and you let them know what you're offering in a way that they can care and wrap their head around it, and let them come to you. Speaking of the coming to you, this is the biggest growth hack that I found on LinkedIn. I teach people to stop sending connection requests. If you think about what sending a connection request signals, is it's a massive sign of weakness. You're going to someone who's presumably a stranger and saying, "Hey, will you please accept me into your network?" It's weak, right? Not only that, you're asking for a favor. Imagine how many millions of people are asking strangers for favors every day on LinkedIn. And worst case, the person accepts it and now they've done you a favor. right? They literally already judged you in their mind. Maybe it's your name, maybe it's the beginning of your headline, but they judged you and they did you a favor, and now they don't owe you anything. So what I say is, whether it's someone that is engaging on your content or someone that you find by searching for a keyword or clicking through a hashtag, you find these people, and this formula is literally, it's molten platinum, right? You follow them instead of sending them a connection request. That's a little tiny favor that they may or may not ever notice. Okay, cool, but we just did them a little favor. You then go to their recent activity, and if they've posted, great. And if not, you can filter to comments, but you go to their most recent engagement and you like their engagement, whether it's a comment or a post. You just did them another favor that they're likely to see. And you get really excited if they only have 20, 30 likes on a post, because they will notice every person that liked it. Now you comment, right? Whether it's their comments on someone else's post, whether it's their post, you comment. Every person that commented or posted on LinkedIn did it hoping that someone would engage. And the reality is, most people don't get a lot of engagement on that. So when you come as a stranger and they don't realize that you're literally prospecting them, you give them that like, you give them that comment. It's hilarious. I've got a guy, his company does a lightweight concrete polymer for airplane wings, and it makes them lighter and safer, and it makes airplanes cheaper and last longer and all these things. So he wants to get in front of Airbus, Boeing, and the FAA. So I showed him this strategy. Right? So we went through, found a couple people that were senior enough at FAA that are posting routinely on LinkedIn. I followed them. I liked their recent posts and I commented. And this is probably 10 minutes into an hour session. Before the end of that session, all three people from the FAA had sent me connection requests. And they're not even relevant to me. I was like, Bob, your headline says you're the world's wingman. Imagine if they saw that reaching out to you, right? I'm just some, why do I have a 500,000 followers on LinkedIn guy, and they're still coming to me. But here's the magic. Not only have you done them three favors, you've had them come to you. You've had them now ask you for another favor, and that is to be part of your network. Hugely different than you asking to be part of theirs. And now you're super within your parameters of normal and even being welcome to pitch them. You say, hey, Sarah, I'm so glad that you wanted to be a part of my network. Welcome, right? I imagine that you wanted to connect because you saw my headline about how to grow a LinkedIn following and monetize it. Or because you saw what I do with wings and you want your planes to not crash, after 18 months, or whatever it is. And if you start to do that with 5 people a day, you're likely to get 5 inbound leads a day. You do it with 20 people a day, you're likely to get 20 inbound leads a day. And the way that you're doing that is a welcome pitch that treats them like they're smart enough to have come to you for a reason, right? And does it work 100% of the time? No, very little things do. I don't always get where I'm going by walking in a straight line, right? Sometimes I trip over my dog's foot or something. But for the most part, these are people that you've brought to you, that you've teed up so that when they're ready to buy, they literally just hit your calendar link or send you a message or go to your website. So those are a couple of the little nuggets of what I do differently on LinkedIn and that I teach others to do.
It's so simplistic that it just takes some time and effort, which you have done, and you've created this entire coaching agency by doing it, by literally just bringing it back down to the basics. I remember when I started my marketing company 10 years ago, and Gary Vee brought up LinkedIn strategies, which was a completely different way, where it was the complete opposite of what you were saying, which is go invite 100 and say, this is what I can do for you. And then respond the next day with, hey, this is exactly what I can do for you. Here's some things that I've done in the past, and keep targeting, targeting, targeting. Now you cycle 10 years into the future. That doesn't work, because guess what happens now? You have 100 of the same exact messages from all these different connection requests asking you for something, asking you for a favor, the connection request, then the message of the straight ask, and it doesn't work. It's like that's a cold email at this point, right? 10 years ago,
Yeah.
sure. Now, this strategy is so freaking brilliant. Back to the basics, where you're optimizing what you should be optimizing, which is your profile. And I'm a victim of this. I probably have 12 to 15 skill sets in mind. I have my elevator pitch in there, right? I have my basic profile that I updated, 5 years ago. I think I have 25,000 followers, nothing too big. And that's the extent of it. I used to use it for Sales Navigator and for LinkedIn ads when that was a big thing before they put a whole bunch of stops onto that for the prospecting method. This is utilizing something, a networking platform like LinkedIn with business professionals and entrepreneurs the right way in the
Hmm.
most, and I don't mean this in a negative way, in the most simplistic, basic formula that you have created that's duplicatable and replicatable by just essentially putting the time energy into this to making it successful. It's
Yeah.
it's it's brilliant. I love it, Corey.
Well, what's really great is that Shane didn't mention this, but I will. Is that what Corey's actually teaching you, whether you realize it or not, is the art of connection. Today's society is all about connection. We are tired of the fluff. We're tired of the bullshit. We're tired of people only wanting to reach out to us because they have something to sell us. Even when people, to Shane's point, put the value prop, I help coaches do X. Every time I see somebody send me a request that says I help coaches, I immediately exit because I know you're just going to message me so you could try to sell me something.
100%.
And there's no difference between you and the 500 other thousand people I have to X every single day. And the biggest, funniest part is that even though they're saying what they could get me, I'm still thinking, yeah, and what do I get out of this? You're going to charge me an exorbitant amount of money and probably deliver zero results to me. So I'm not even going to entertain it anymore. Corey's method is the method of superiority because people are so aware of the bullshit in today's society. We actually want genuine connection. And now you're
That's right.
going around the bullshit DMs and you're just saying, "Hi, I'd like to talk to you. Here's a way that we could talk. I'm going to tell you how great I think what you just did is." And people are like, "Oh my god, nobody does that." So I love it from a psychological standpoint. I'm all in on Corey because I get what he's doing in the deeper side.
And what's interesting is so few people execute in this methodology on LinkedIn that it's just a breath of fresh air, right?
Hmm.
Like whether it's subconsciously or with whether people realize it, they're like, that's different. I think I like this guy, right? And people make such visceral decisions based on differentiation. And
Hmm.
for me as well, I need to have all the social proof there. So you go to my profile, you see the 560,000 followers, but then immediately see my newsletter with 190,000 subscribers. I
Mm.
posted a new issue of my newsletter last night. I've got a 5-figure pipeline from that issue, right? It's been just over 12 hours. My issue kind of, you know, I was talking pretty badly about Apple because I don't like that they're calling Apple Intelligence the new AI. My new iPhone 16 Pros just as bad as my 15 and 14. And but what I noticed yesterday, I was thinking, what am I going to write a new issue on AI about, right? Like, sure, Sam Altman is saying there's no wall, I mean, all this BS stuff, right? But there's not really anything new other than NVIDIA having Generation 3, which is super dope. And, that's something that I wrote
It's a-
about. But so I wrote about Apple because I went to the App Store and I typed in AI, and it gave me 20 lists of ChatGPT knockoffs and AI where you can flirt with fantasy girls that look like they're from Dungeons and Dragons. I'm like, is this what Apple wants people to think AI is? There's
That's
no
horrible. What app
perplexity.
was that?
This is right. I'm like, where's Replit? Where's Perplexity? Where's Gemini that just came out? Right? Where's Suno? I'm like, none of these are even on the top 25 list, and there's no way to sort for them.
Hmm.
Apple, in my opinion, is doing something really wrong. So anyway, so I did this issue of the newsletter. It brought me 4 opportunities that if I choose to pursue all of them will make me a strong 5 figures. But I also had two people reach out from Apple. One of them has been there for a long time, has a director role. I don't want to use his or her name or department, but they reached out to say, "Hey, Corey, just so that we know, right? We respect where you're coming from, everything you did. You're well within your parameters. What would you charge us to do an issue saying you like this and this about Apple's intelligence?" Right now, imagine the number that I'm going to throw out to a trillion. Now, I'm not even going to do it because my reputation makes more, but I could
That's
probably tell them, $250,000. Right. So it's like you build this brand, but so people come to my profile, you see the numbers, but then you see my posts with 100,000 likes. Then you
right.
go to my recommendations and you see 110 or whatever different people saying that I changed their lives. And you click through to their profiles, not only are they real people, but they're all really doing really amazing things. A lot of them are making big money, and they're all going viral with great profiles too. So it's right. It's this self-fulfilling thing where people come to me because they know what I do, whether they
Yeah,
just happen to see me in their news feed, or I coach one of their co-founders or whatever it might be. So it's been an interesting journey, that's for sure.
I love it.
So, spoiler alert, I hired Corey. I'm excited. I'm on the wait list. Yeah,
As
guys,
am I.
he's got a wait list. All right.
We're both on the wait list. You should say we hired Corey. Why are you just trying to make it about you? Corey, fire him right now because you need to now give me double your time because he's a jerk.
My name's Bennett, and I'm not in it.
But it should just tell you to literally, if you've been this far into the podcast and you haven't already typed in his name and followed him on LinkedIn and his social channels to see if he's the real deal, you need to do that right now. And
Right.
I'm personally super excited to get off of this wait list and actually, put this to the test. I think I want to, put some of my VAs and do a little spying and see what Corey's got. Cause I'm sure there's nothing to hide, but I need to start doing this before I get on the wait list. So Corey can say, yes, you're on the right track, but you need to do a lot better. This is the way to do it. So your posts, this is kind of where I want to bring it to next. Your posts, where do you get the creative mindset? Because you're not niche specific on who you coach, right? It's kind of catered to anybody who really wants to improve, which I'm sure the foundational, building out the profile and what you actually need to do is that part is set in stone. But for me making those posts daily, weekly, whatever it may be, this creative narrative, where's this inspiration coming from?
So there's a really easy way to growth hack that, and then there's a slightly bigger brain way, and I actually recommend both of them. But I'll start with like the stuff that doesn't work at all, regardless of what vanity metrics show you. So we've all seen the 23-year-old woman that loves to show most of her cleavage with a picture and a dumb quote that says something like "bad bosses are bad." And she gets 1,000 likes, and you're like, okay, well, you're literally showing like most of your chest. It's the same picture every time. The quotes are the dumbest thing you've ever read. Like, no one's ever read that and be like, oh, maybe I should not be a bad boss because bad boss is bad, right? So like the post might get likes, and usually they're in an engagement pod, but those girls are not making any money, and if they are, it's because they're letting lonely guys, pay them by the hour to flirt with them. And so that's content that I always run the other way from. Right. And then some of these old men hire these young women so they can spend time with them one on one on a call. And they put pictures of themselves looking like a Cialis commercial with their quote. It's like, you're right. And you're like, dude. And they're like, why do I only get 8 likes? Like, because your chest is much less attractive than hers. But and then you see these people where like every post is a templatized billboard or like a subway sign that says something like kindness will win the day, and you're like, okay, those people aren't making money either, and maybe some of them are trust funders that just really need the dopamine hit of like a big following on social, although I'd probably encourage them to go onto Instagram, but like those are never going to make money. Right. But so now let's switch to the one that's kind of in the middle. People love to do videos of themselves. And I've got a guy in Chicago, he's a friend of mine. He's been telling me for 3 years he's going to hire me as his coach, never has. He works for a big HR company. But in almost every day, he's doing videos of himself walking downtown, and the wind's blowing his hair and it's noisy in the background, and that's fine. Fine. People don't mind kind of low production quality, but they all look like the same video. They all get between 3 and 5 likes. And he told me, like, I guess a couple months ago, but that he's never closed a deal on LinkedIn. Think of this guy's recording videos every day, spending time to put captions on them, uploading them to LinkedIn, right? And that's the definition of insanity, is doing the same thing over and over and getting no results. And once in a blue moon, if like I have someone that I get off a call after just a few minutes or something and he's in my news feed, I'll watch a few seconds of his videos, he's saying the same dumb thing over, God bless him, but it's like those videos aren't going to convert. So here's what I recommend instead. Here's the easy one. Anybody can do this. Go on Instagram or TikTok or on one of these platforms. I like Instagram, and you just find what's going stupid viral. As long as it's on brand for you, as long as it's not some little kitten waving, and everyone walking by the bus stop or whatever, you know, any video that resonates with you. And for me, a lot of times it's cool technology, it's drones, it's robots, whatever it might be. But you find a video that's got 100,000 likes, million views. This means that social media algorithms love it, right? It grabs attention right away, it's shareable, and humans that see it in their newsfeed like it as well. So you grab one
Mm.
of these videos that's on brand for you. What I love to do in these scenarios is find the channel, make sure that it's a viral channel with great videos, and then I'll reach out to them. And it's, for me at this point, it's easy because I say, I have a 500,000 followers on LinkedIn. Can I share your videos and give you credit? And they're like, half the time they're like, what are you wanting to charge me? When I'm like, no, it's free. They're like, they're over the moon. But so you ask for their permission, and now you can actually use all their videos. And when you give them credit, you say shared with permission, right? Now that takes any wind out of anyone's sails to say, oh, you're just using viral videos. It's like, no, I'm using a proven psychology. I'm delighting my audience, but we know that these will go viral on LinkedIn because they've already been validated on another platform. And so here's what you do. Rather than start off and start preaching at your audience and teaching them something to sell them something, you instead start off by making them feel seen and heard. So you can ask a question, you can say something that people have something to think about or say about. It doesn't even have to necessarily tie into the video. If you can tie it to it in the first line or two, that's great. But really, you just want people to stop scrolling. The video grabbed their attention immediately. You've got the 1 second for them to read the opening line. Now they actually feel like there's going to be space for them to be heard or maybe have a laugh or something like this. You've got them. Now the rest of the post can be about whatever it is that you do, right? So here's where we talk about saving people 60% of the time from doing their mundane work, or how lawyers can get clients because they're not allowed to market, or whatever it is that your offering is. Right, for me, it's been a long time since I've done this, but if I were wanting and needing to have more clients, I'd share a viral video. I'd start off with something that brought people into a conversation, and then I'd say, how did I get 20 million views last quarter, and how did it make me, 25 cents per view, right, or something. And now people are, right, you want to keep reading to see where this is going. But so that formula works really, really well. You can finish with a call to action. Something people don't understand is that the first three hashtags of any post on LinkedIn become part of the URL that ties to msn.com with a do follow domain or a do follow backlink attached to your name and the first three
Mm.
keywords. So you can start to be an organic first page results on Google, Bing, and Perplexity for free just by using the strategic hashtags that you want when people are searching for to come up with. Right. But so that's the super easy way. What I've started to do, and I love, love, love this, especially I've already mentioned them, but now that they have their version 3, is this app called InVideo. You go to
Exactly.
InVideo and you just tell them whatever you want a video to be about. And at this point, you can literally say, I want it to be a LinkedIn video. I want it to be this long. And what they've done up until this point, which is really great, is they write a script for you that you can edit in any way that you want. They add a bunch of proprietary video from their library that you have a license to use. So you can create these kind of faceless videos that do well on every channel. And so now you can
Mm.
just see what's trending on LinkedIn or what's trending in the news or what it is that you need to talk about for your business, time saving, productivity, standing desks, right? Whatever it might be. And you can make a video that no one's ever seen that will grab attention right away. What they've just released in their version 3, which is going to be a game changer, is they're now also using generative AI to create videos that make whatever you generate there that much more proprietary. Now it's not just stock videos that people might have seen elsewhere, but now
Right.
it's like, now it's yours. It's yours, yours, yours. So now you just need to know, like, what does your audience want to know? This is another big one. People love to give their audience what they want their audience to have, and then they're like, LinkedIn doesn't work. No, what does your audience want? right? Give them what they want, and then use that as a Trojan horse to talk about whatever it is that you're selling, whatever it is that you're prospecting for, rather than hoping for this field of dreams. If you build it, they will come.
I love that you use NVIDIA too. Shout out to NVIDIA. First off, it's cheap for the annual plan. I noticed in their version too, they did a lot of like news portions, is what it looked like, especially in the beginning. And then after your like 20th video, you'll start seeing the same type of person. At least that was the case that I got. Maybe it was the same type of videos that we did. But like, is that the same person as a couple videos ago? It's like, oh, okay. But version 3, we haven't played around too much with it because we kind of pause until I can get with Corey and post the right things. But anyways, I brilliant. I love the fact that you even reach out. You don't steal any of the videos that somebody took the time to either create or build or do a voiceover or whatever it was that's already gone viral. You ask.
And check this out. I was a partner at Interesting Engineering for almost a year. They have almost 100 million followers across every channel. I was the face of the company. That relationship and that opportunity came by me reaching out saying, hey, can I share your stuff on LinkedIn? But not only that, I have so many friends now, legitimate friends, and some of them have hired me and some of them I've done deals with. So there's been some tens over hundreds of thousands of dollars generated by me just asking someone like Miles Music Kid, this 7-year-old musical prodigy. He recorded in the studio on Jimi Hendrix guitar and Ringo Starr's drums and all this at 5 years old. He's right. But I saw his video. He goes viral on Insta. I reached out. I was like, I hope that this is his parents, right? Because I'm not trying to message a 7-year-old. I was like, but the videos are dope. Can I share it on LinkedIn? I'll give him credit. They're like, yeah, please. Well, one of my companies that I started is in the music space. And so now I've got him and all these other musicians that I featured. Or there's a kid named, I call him He-Man or He-Man because I grew up with Masters of the Universe, but his name is spelled He-Man, but it's Heman. Shout out Heyman is how he pronounces it. When I first saw his video go viral on Instagram, he was 12 years old. He had just invented a soap that kills and identifies skin cancer. And 3M Magazine had just brought him to the New York Stock Exchange to ring the bell and do a big feature. So I saw the video. I reached out. I was like, hey, again, I'm like, hopefully this is the parents running the account, but I want to feature your son on my LinkedIn. They're like, yeah, absolutely. And so now he was just, I think, Time Magazine's Child Entrepreneur of the Year and all this stuff too. And so, I love to always promote him on LinkedIn. But so it looks like we may have an opportunity to work together. And like, I lost both my parents to cancer at different points. So anything I can do in the cancer space, I'm super stoked on it. But companies like this raise a bunch of money and they hire growth hackers as well. So, right, it's like you are building these rapports and these connections, but you never know what turns into real business as well.
This guy's a real one, Ben. I'm telling you.
That's what I'm saying. I said his name like 20 times during the intro so people can't forget him. I mean, Corey is probably as legit as they come. I mean, he gets my stamp of approval 10,000 times over, and ultimately, I think that everybody should be figuring out what Corey is saying, because ultimately, nowadays, the world, Shane and I have talked about this a lot on the podcast. I'm a firm believer of it. AI is taking over. iRobot's here. Robotics on everything is here. People need, want, and are craving connection, genuine connection. They want to feel that there are relationships out there with people that care about them, because let's be real, most things nowadays aren't real anymore. The message you just got, it's from a drip campaign. The person who's calling you is a robot. The person you're going to do the onboarding with is a freaking robot or a system or a process. The person who left a comment is a robot or a system or a process. There's very few things that are real. And so like the world is interesting, because if you've ever, for any of our listeners out there, if you've ever read the book The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell, I think it's very interesting because he talks about how things start and ultimately sometimes how they end. And usually what starts is novel. So everybody was obsessed with the AI integrations and how can we fire people and save our money and save the bottom line, and how can we do 10,000 comments or 20,000 emails a minute or whatever the case may be. And now that everyone's there and everybody's using it and everybody's aware of it and everybody's knowing what it looks like. You could tell when the comments nowadays aren't as genuine or real, or like it's all scripted. And now we're wise to it because it's so widely accepted. Now we're tired of that, and we're all back to like, where's the people? You get on the call, you're pissed off. I want a representative. There's a comment or an email. You're like, shut up. So Corey is teaching you the fundamentals you need to stand out in today's AI driven world that needs more human driven interactions.
I concur. That was very well said, Ben.
Thank you, my friend. It's a little bit of a monologue, but I want people to know you are the thing they need. So, Corey, we got to ask you, because we're getting close to the end here. We got one really big question that we always love to ask everyone, because we started this podcast with the understanding that being a one percenter is not about just being a billionaire. It's about a way of life. It's about what it is you're striving to achieve and how can you be the best version of whatever that is. So our question to you is, what does a 1% life look like to you?
So for me anymore, as an effective accelerationist, as a futurist, I believe that we are entering a completely new era of humanity. And so for me, my entire objective has shifted to making sure that we get it right. So, we're raising hundreds of millions of dollars right now for a space tourism project that's got a lot of legs. I think that sure, we can send drones and robots to outer space and we can start to mine our local asteroid belt, which is imperative, but I think getting that right now is existential. AI being minted on the blockchain to me is existential. As we move into quantum computing and quantum encryption, they can literally break any password. This is really, really scary stuff, especially as we see escalations geopolitically. How do we ensure that AI doesn't go rogue, doesn't take out certain, governments, different sects of life? And for me, the only solution to that is blockchain. Everything on AI is tokenized. Blockchain can tie any token to a blockchain with a smart contract using Solidity. I don't care if it's a different decentralized ledger that's immutable, but to me, blockchain is the technology. But so, one of my companies, and we just raised some money, is called Loving Is. We're literally putting AI on the blockchain, teaching it what love is algorithmically to get around things like biases, plagiarism, hate, jailbreaking, all of these things. So to me, money comes as a byproduct of doing big things. The biggest project that I've been involved with for years now, and I'm glad to see people that are starting to really adopt this as well as Sam Altman. I believe Elon has at least dipped his toe in this, but is universal basic income. In my opinion, we can change verbiage and vernacular. We can call it universal basic compute, right? But it's this concept of, if all of these companies are making as much or more money as they ever did, but no longer putting paychecks into humans' bank accounts, what do we do with that delta? Right? It can't just be stakeholders or executives that are making trillions of more dollars while everyone else struggles to find employment or ways to keep their lights on, proverbially. And so I've studied now almost 80 universal basic income projects. I've helped launch several of them. The data back on them is that virtually everyone in these environments where there's a universal basic income get more productive. Mental health issues are reduced to virtually zero, right? People are no longer stressed, anxious. They no longer have sleeping disorders or eating disorders. And so, I think people hear it as a handout, or this isn't fair, because people love to see other people kept down. And in my assessment, we don't really have room or time for that societally. And so, it's these big projects for me, the UBI, the space tourism, things of this nature, where that to me is the 1% life, right? And it's amazing. I might be doing my space tourism thing, and someone wants to connect me to Sir Richard Branson. And so his people go, okay, well, space tourism is definitely in our portfolio, but tell us about the UBI thing, right? Like, you're starting to see the same people come up in these different big brain conversations. And so, most of them are 1%. Most of us can hop on a, whatever plane we want to and go anywhere in the world that we want to handle a problem or to enjoy our life for a little bit. But it's not just the money. And I know so many high net worth individuals that are quite literally miserable, right? And they're complaining about their wife or these things. And to me, that doesn't equate to a 1% life. For me, 1% is making the real change, that is going to help really change humanity and really change the world. And although I think the name of the company is preposterously stupid, so someone that I'm on a cap table with and have some respect for is Mark Cuban. Now his company's called Mark Cuban Cost Plus Drugs. I can't say it without laughing. It'll never be a not bad name for a company. But that said, that's a 1% life. He's trying to make prescription drugs better and more accessible to more people. That's 1%, right? And 1% has to be thinking about society, or at least people outside of your immediate circle. That's not 1%, right? Now, so I think people can get wealthy without adopting that 1% mentality. But I think to really want to be in the 1% means that you're thinking about things in ways that people aren't. And much more importantly, you're taking action on them.
I definitely agree with your entire mindset as far as helping other people. I think that's kind of what we're put on this planet for, is to make the world a better place before you leave it. And I definitely believe that you, of all standards, just from talking with you today for 40 minutes, that you're going to accomplish that. As far as blockchain, I've been talking about this since
Oh
2016.
boy.
I have since 2016.
I know, I know, I
I
know.
think we're going to eventually come to a world currency that's going to be used. The question is how does the government tax it? My question to you is, because this podcast is really directed towards entrepreneurs, business owners, like-minded individuals who have great work ethic here. Your concept here, and especially the world that's going into this AI shift where it kind of eliminates most of the day-to-day jobs in the next 5 to 10 years for humans, which is Elon's biggest thing is what does that mean for humans, right? Because people associate themselves as what they do, and if those common jobs to start with are taken away, then what? But my question is, if we do come to universal subsidies on a financial aspect, does that eliminate in America the American dream, right? Does that eliminate entrepreneurs for wanting to push and do better when this is in place?
So the data right now overwhelmingly suggests no, although intuitively it feels like it would. And I'll just kind of give an analogy of one of my clients. He's very accomplished. He was a surgeon. He's on faculty at MIT, Stanford, and Harvard. He holds advanced degrees from all three of them. He's now a VC. We've helped bring in close to $1 billion inbound to his fund since we started working together. And so he's way smarter than me, way more accomplished than me. But I have this unique skill set that he came to because he wanted a book published, and the publisher basically said, your social media suck. You need X amount of followers on LinkedIn and a better profile and engagement, and then we'll publish your book, right? So we achieved that very quickly. As a matter of fact, within a couple of months, he had more followers than he needed, and he got his book publisher to give him a advance and all this stuff. But he did come to me after we were kind of saying, okay, we don't need to meet one on one anymore for the growth sessions. He said, but Corey, I just want to get on one more call with you. I have a question that's burning. I'm asking a few people in my world, and you're one of the people that I really want to get the opinion of. I said, okay. So we get on a call. He said, I have a 6 and an 8-year-old kid. And yes, I'm a surgeon and an investor and blah, blah, blah. But I don't know in my heart what I should be teaching them, right? He said, as a futurist, as someone that kind of has your finger on the pulse, I'm just curious what you think I should be teaching my kids. And I said, well, Mike, I can tell you for sure what you shouldn't be teaching them. And if you'll indulge me, I'll tell you the two things I would not be teaching a 6 or an 8-year-old right now. And on the other side of that, I'm happy to give you what I think you should be teaching them as, a data point. I'm not their father, right? Like, take it with a grain of salt. But for sure, what you shouldn't teach them is anything to do with work. Right. They don't need to know what the word resume means or what CV stands for. They don't need to know how to interview. They won't need to know how to use a spreadsheet, right? Like nothing, there's no industry that your 6 or 8-year-old kid is going to need to break into, right? It's not going to happen. Now, that's not to say they can't have a job, right? Maybe they want to learn how to weave. Maybe they want to be a freestyle battle rapper like I was, right? It's like they can do stuff, but right, don't teach them anything to do with work or employment. I said the second thing, and this was some months ago, so I literally told him as I was saying, it's like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I was like, you don't need to teach them how to prompt AI, right? Unless you literally want your 8-year-old kid to start using AI within the next few months, then neither of your kids will ever need to know how to prompt AI. For decades, humans have had to learn the language of computers, but now we're teaching computers the language of humans. They are going to intuitively know what we need. They are going to be prompting themselves. The kids will be deploying autonomous agents, whether or not they know that's what they are, and they won't need to know how to prompt AI. So you don't need to teach them that. And so he's like, okay. Those both threw me for a loop. Interesting. He said, I'm with you. So what do you think that I should be teaching them? And I said, in a word, entrepreneurship. That will never go away. There will always be problems, and we will not want every problem to be solved by computers, right? That takes far too much trust, and that puts far too much potential for error into the software, right? We need to know how to identify problems and solutions and then execute on them. People need to know how to get the right resources together, whether it's working capital, whether it's co-founders or channel partners, whatever it might be. They might not need to know acronyms. They might not ever need to know what a customer acquisition cost or a KPI means by way of what the letters stand for. I finally got disillusioned with acronyms myself when people started talking about NFTs. I'm like, unless you've ever used the word fungible in your life, then get the F out of here. I'm like, that's not a thing, right? NFT doesn't mean anything. They're digital assets on chain. But so entrepreneurship to me, this is with the mentality of an entrepreneur. We will always have opportunity. We will always be able to serve one another. We will always be able to innovate. Shout out Shane to that Liquid Death as well. I was so mad at them for so long when I first saw them. I'm like, that's the dumbest name in packaging for water.
Brilliant.
Smartest name in packaging for water. They did it.
Absolutely.
And now they're worth billions of dollars, and somehow their water tastes better than any other water. I'm like, I'm such
Absolutely.
a fan. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's brilliant. My wife said the same thing. I'm like, no, it's brilliant. Have you ever heard there's no such thing as bad publicity? This is it.
That's it.
So you get the right
it.
people behind it, the right capitalization. I mean, they've done everything right, but they've earned every bit of success.
Yeah, we were just talking about big influencer marketing on the previous podcast, and this is the way that it's transitioning to is, influencers and affiliates already having a know, like, and trust factor like yourself, who essentially says one thing and they love it. They're going to buy from you. Yeah. So anyways.
That's it, man. The wave of the world is big and exciting. Don't get swept under it. Ride the top of it.
And don't get caught up in pessimism. Be optimistic, everybody. There's a lot of reason to celebrate what's coming.
That's it, my man. Corey, so before we end today, please tell these amazing people how could they get in touch with you, best methods. Obviously, could they do you a favor by connecting on LinkedIn, or could you do them a favor, I should say?
So the short answer is no, only because LinkedIn has an arbitrary limit of connections. And so I'm perpetually at that limit. I do try to shave people off every couple of weeks to add new people, but I'm getting to where I literally know many, if not most of my 30,000 connections. And, so that's a bit of a stretch. People can always follow me. I try to follow back people that I see following me that engage with me. But something that served me really well early on LinkedIn was finding the LinkedIn influencers I wanted to be on the radar of on other channels. So I'm really easy to find on any other channel at Corey Connect. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on X. I just started a YouTube channel a week ago called Corey Health that's starting to kill it as well. We're going to grow that to 1 million subscribers. But so finding me anywhere else is surprisingly so much easier, because if someone sends me a message, like I don't really check my Twitter messages, but someone hits me up on Facebook or on Insta, and like follow me on Instagram and comment on one of my stories, and we're already having a dialogue, right? And then those people, it's very easy to say, hey, I sent you a connection request on LinkedIn, and I'll go find them, and find room to add them. I'll find someone that's selling coaching services. Or I'll type in life coach into my connections. I'll see if I'm still connected to a life coach and get rid of them.
I love it. All right, awesome. Well, there you have it, folks. Go follow, go connect, and go buy something from the illustrious Corey Warfield. Tell him the 1% podcast sent you so we get our referral bonuses. No, I'm just kidding. We believe in him. That's why you should do it.
I've got a sick referral bonus.
But that's why you should do it.
1% podcast.
Damn right. We freaking love you, man. Stick around for a minute afterwards. And as always, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Please like, share, subscribe, follow, connect with us, comment. As always, I'm your host, Vin. That was Corey, and we got...
And I'm Shay.
I switched it up on you. All right, bye, everybody.
Peace.